Hello, dear students. Good morning to all of you, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to my online classes. Today, we will read the third part of our fourth lesson, The Enemy, written by Paul S. Buck. So, in this lesson, we have already seen how Dr. Sadao and his wife they were in dilemma to treat this prisoner of war, but at last both of them decided that they will treat and save the life of this prisoner. But every moment when they were after they were treating him, they were in fear of being caught by the police, and they were scared of being uh, facing treason by the government. So Dr. Sadao he finally decided to operate the prisoner, and for this purpose he need urgent help from his wife. But all the servants they refused to wash the wound of the enemy, and Hana herself had to help her husband in the successful uh, treatment of the patient. So let's move to the third part. It is not quite at the kidney, my friend, Sadao murmured. It was his habit to murmur to the patient when he forgot himself in an operation. My friend, he always called his patients, and so now he did, forgetting that this was his enemy. So, while treating the patient, it was his just habit to talk with the patients. So here also, Dr. Sadao is talking with this injured soldier that don't worry, it is not near the kidney. It means you are safe and no need to worry. And it was his habit to talk with his patients, and while talking, he was completely absorbed in his profession, and now itself at this moment he forget that this patient is his enemy. Then quickly, with the cleanest and most precise of incision, the bullet was out. The man quivered, but he was still unconscious. Nevertheless, he muttered a few English words. Then Dr. Sadawa quickly he made a very precise incision cut, and the bullet was out. The man quivered, but he was still unconscious. But still, as the man realized the pain, he tried to move his body, but still he was unconscious. So, nevertheless, he has muttered a few English words. So, however, he tried to utter some English words. Guts, he muttered, choking. They got my guts. It means still in unconscious uh, state. He was also just trying of his courage. Sadao, Hana, guts, he muttered, choking. They got my guts. It means he wanted to say something, but the words were not clear. Sadao, Hana cried sharply. Hush, Sadao said. But as uh, Hana was along with her husband during the operation, so now she wanted to talk with her husband, but he said he simply uh, signed her or asked her to keep silence. The man sank again into silence so profound that Sadaos took up his wrist, uh, hating the touch of it. Yes, there was still a pulse so faint, so feeble, but enough if he wanted the man to live to give hope. Now again As the operation was successful, then Dr. Sadao realized that after muttering some words, the man was fainting and he sank into silence. He was so silent that it seems that his body was sinking. He was dying. So, uh, reluctantly, Dr. Sadao touched his wrist and found that his pulse rate was so weak, so feeble, and now. But if he wanted the man to give uh, to live, it gave hope. But as Dr. Sada was working very hard to give life, to give breath to this man, so now he realized that this faint pulse itself is a sign that the man can live. He is out of danger. But certainly I do not want this man to live, he thought. But again, there was a conflict between the mind and the heart. Still, the doctor realized that, but actually, I want that this man must die. But as a doctor, he was reluctant that his patient must die. No more anesthetics, he told Hana. He turned as swiftly as though he had never paused, and from his medicines he chose a small vial and from it filled a hypodermic and thrust into uh, the patient's left arm. So again, Dr. Sadao instructed Hana not to give any further anesthetic to the patient, and again quickly he searched a bottle of medicine and took an injection, a hypodermic solution, and injected it into his left arm. Then, putting down the needle, he took the main wrist again, the pulse under the finger, fluttering once or twice, and then grew stronger. So, this hypodermic solution is given in case of emergency uh, to increase the pulse rate or uh, to increase the efficiency of the heart. So this at this moment also, as his pulse rate was decreasing, Dr. Sadao gave hypodermic injection to the patient, and again soon he recovered, and his pulse rate was growing stronger and stronger. This man will live in spite of all, he said to Hana and sighed. Now, very happily, the doctor announced that and talked to Hana that now this man will live. He is out of danger, and he took a great sigh. The young man woke so weak, his blue eyes so terrified when he perceived where he was, that Hana felt compelled to apologize. And when, as soon as the patient came out of his unconsciousness, his long sleep, then it seemed that there was a fear in his eyes. And when Hannah realized that the patient was feeling uneasy, he was too much scared, so she felt very bad for the patient, and she begged apology. She herself served him, for none of the servants would enter the room. And Hannah had to look after the patient, had to take care of him, as all the servants of the house refused to serve him. When she came in the first time, she saw him summon his small strength to be prepared for some fearful things. But when, before Hannah entered into the room, she saw him that he was just trying to gather all his strength, and he was preparing himself for some fearful things. Means still the peasant or this soldier has realized that his life is in danger, and anyhow he again uh, is willing to manage escape. Don't be afraid, she begged him softly. How come you speak English? He gasped. So as he was moving, trying to move, So Hannah asked him very softly, very sweetly, please don't try to move. But as Hannah spoke these English words, so the soldier was surprised and then again he inquired, how you know English? I was a long time in America, and since he was in Japan, and in Japan people generally speak Japanese. So he was also surprised how this lady was speaking English. So he inquired. Then again Hannah is replying. Uh, how I was a long time in America, she replied. She showed that he wanted to reply to that, but he could not, and so knelt and fed him gently from the porcelain spoon. He ate unwillingly, but still he ate. So now Hannah replied that he has spent some years in America, so she knew English. And then she realized that this man, he wanted to speak more, but he was unable to utter words. So she herself bent down and tried to feed him with the porcelain spoon, but the soldier was reluctant. But as he was feeling hungry, there was no option. He ate the food served by the lady. Now, you will soon be strong, she said, not liking him and yet moved to comfort him. So Hannah was did not like that person, but still she was soothing him, convincing him that soon he will recover his good health and soon he will be able to go back. He did not answer. When Sadao came in the third day after the operation, he found the young man sitting up, his face bloodless with the effort. So but at this time, the soldier did not respond to Hannah's questions. But again, when Dr. Sadao came back after 3 days of the operation, then he found that this man, he was sitting on the bed, but his face was bloodless with his efforts. So he was uh, putting his effort to move his body. So lie down, Sadao cried, do you want to die? So as he was trying to move, so quickly Dr. Sadao scolded him and said that, do you want to die? So your such efforts can uh, prove very bad to your health. Right now, you need complete rest. He forced the man down gently and strongly and examined the wound. You may kill yourself if you do this sort of thing, he scolded. Again, the doctor, he forced the man to sit gently, examined all his wounds, and again warned him, scolded him that don't repeat such act again. It may be very dangerous to him. For a moment, Sadao did not answer. He finished his examination and then pulled the silk quilt over the man. So, for some time, the doctor did not talk to the man. He was busy in examining the wounds of the soldier, and then again he covered his body with the quilt and uh, yes, and I also scolded him not to repeat such act again. What are you going to do with me? The boy muttered. He looked just barely 17. Are you going to hand me over? So now the soldier had a query to know that, so he inquired from the doctor that what actually he will do of him now. So the doctor, uh, now today the boy was just as he has recovered a little bit of his health, so he was just looking 17. And again, as the doctor did not answer, so again he asked, are you going to hand me over to the, it means to the police? For a moment, Sadao did not answer. He finished his examination and then pulled the silk quilt over the man. I don't know myself what I shall do with you, he said. I ought to, of course, to give you to the police, You are a prisoner of war. No doubt. Tell me anything. No, do not tell me anything. He put up his hand as he saw the young man he was about to speak. Don't even tell me your name unless I ask it. Now, Dr. Sadao informed the boy that he himself was confused that why he is doing or means why he is treating his enemy. But it said that as soon as you will be alright, definitely I will hand you over to the police. And as the boy was about to speak, means he wanted to inquire more thing, or maybe he wanted to tell about himself. Dr. Salau asked him not to say anything, and even he warned him not to tell his name unless he is asked. So it means that the doctors wanted to say that he had no interest in him, so no need to tell about himself. They looked at each other for a moment, and then the young man closed his eyes and turned his face to the wall. Okay, he whispered, his mouth a bitter line. Now, for some time, both of them they looked at each other silently, but no one spoke. And then he turned his face towards the wall and uh, showed his resentment to the doctor. Okay, by saying this, he turned his face towards the wall. Outside the door, Hana was waiting for Sadao. Uh, he saw at once that she was in trouble. But as soon as the doctor approached the door, he saw that Hana was waiting outside for him. Uh, but he realized that she was feeling uneasy. Sadao, you may tell me the servants feel they cannot stay if you hide the men here anymore, she said. She tells me that if they are saying that you and I were so long in America that we have forgotten to think of our own country first, they think we like Americans. Now, Hannah tried to reveal the cause of her anxiety. So, what she did? She uh, informed Dr. Salau that our servants they are blaming us for our act. They think that as we have spent some parts of our life in America, so we are just favoring the Americans and somehow we are betraying our country. They they today they are just considering us like Americans. It's not true, Sadao said hoarsely. Americans are our enemies, but I have been trained not to let a man die if I can help it. So now Dr. Sadao became very irritated and he said that no, all Americans are our enemies, but I did. I saved the life of this person because I'm trained in such profession. So, being a doctor, it is my duty to save the dying person if I can. So, no one can blame me for saving any prisoner. The servants cannot understood that, said she said anxiously. No, he agreed. So now Hannah said that I can understand you, but these illiterate servants they don't understand our problem. So again, Dr. Sadao said yes, they are illiterate people, so they will never understand us. Neither seemed able to say more, and somehow household dragged on. The servants grew more and more watchful. Their courtesy was as careful as ever, but their eyes were cold upon the pair to whom they were hired. Now, both of them, Hana or Dr. Sadao, they were just unable to talk to share their information, and somehow they saw that this dispute is every day becoming intense. Now the servants were becoming more watchful. They were very courteous towards their masters, but now they don't want to obey their orders. It is clear that our masters ought to do, the old gardener said one morning. He had worked with the flowers all his life and had been a specialist too in mosh. Now the gardener of Dr. Sadao, he said that our master, the son of our master, it means he has served the family for generations. So he said that our masters know what he must do. Uh, and now the author is introducing this gardener as that he has spent his life, all his life to Dr. Sadao's family, and again he is also a specialist in designing mosh, means a kind of a flower. For Sadao's father, he had made one of the finest mosh gardens in Japan, sweeping the bright green carpet constant so that not a leaf or a pine needle marred the velvet of its surface. So these green grasses. So here this gardener, he was a specialist of Moshe's garden, and always he took great care that pine needles should not get mixed up with the this green grass. So my old master's son knows very well what he ought to do, he now said, pinching a bud from a bush as he spoke. When the man was so near death, why did he not let him bleed? So now there was a curiosity in the mind of the gardener that why our master's son, Miss Dr. Sadao, did not let the prisoner die when he was already wounded. That young master is so proud of his skill to save life that he saves any life, the cook said contemptuously. Uh, she split a false neck skillfully and had the fluttering bird and let its blood flow into the roots of the wisteria vine. Blood is the best of fertilizer, and the old gardener would not let her waste a drop of it. Now, they, the cook of Dr. Sadao, she said that our master is so much skilled in saving the life of the people, and so he also saved the life of our enemy. But again, he said that skillfully, this cook, he is skilled in splitting the neck of a bird and held the fluttering birds and let its blood flow into the roots of the wisteria vine. So it means he was so cruel that she did not even hesitate to kill a bird to feed as a fertilizer to the uh, flowers, and she don't want to waste a drop of the blood. It is the children to whom we must think, Yumi said sadly. What will be their fate if their father is condemned as a traitor? Now, Yumi, the maidservant of the house, as she was responsible to take care of the children, so she was much worried. She had expressed her concern to the children. She said that what will happen if our masters will be condemned to condemned as a traitor, then what will happen of these young children? They did not try to hide what they said from the ears of Hana as she stood arranging the day's flower in the most of her being, but there was another part of her which she herself could not understand. It was not sentimental liking of the prisoner. She had come uh, to think of him as a prisoner. So now again, Yumi, she was deliberately talking loudly as she was standing very near to Hana, and she was deliberately speaking loudly so that she can hear all their conversation. So now Yumi, the maidservant, expressed her concern that why these people they are risking their life and also spoiling the future of their children. Why they are just uh, inviting their misfortune by treating this young man, young soldier. So they also think that why they are not trying to understand uh, that this enemy will pose a great threat to them. And now it is not the time to be sentimental, but they must think it properly. So she had not liked him even yesterday when he uh, had said to his impulsive way, "Anyway, let me tell you that my name is Tom." She had only bowed her little distant bow. She saw hurt in his eyes, but she did not wish to associate it. Indeed, uh, he has a great trouble in the house. He was a great trouble in this house. So Hannah said that she reminded a small incident that she said that this prisoner, he was much, seems to be much rowdy, and when he arrogantly spoke to her mistress, means to Hannah yesterday, that he was introducing himself that uh, let me tell you that my name is Tom. So he was just introducing himself, and he was so proud and arrogant that uh, this lady, the maid servant, she felt it very bad on the Hannah's part. As for Sadao, every day he examined the wound carefully. The last stitches had been pulled out of this morning, and the young man would in a fortnight be nearly as well as ever. Now, Dr. Sadao, he declared every day he observed the wounds of the prisoner very carefully, and today he took out the last stitch and said that within a fortnight this uh, his patient will recover all his uh, health. Sadao went back to his office and carefully typed a letter to Chief of Police reporting the whole matter. So now, as soon as Dr. Sadao went back to his office, to his clinic, then he typed a letter to the uh, superintendent of police informing everything, informing every matter about this refugee. On the 21st day of February, an escaped prisoner was washed up on the shore in front of my house. So far, he typed, and then he opened a secret drawer of his desk and put the unfinished report into it. So, what the author has written? Yes, Dr. Sadao wrote that on 21st of February, one of the prisoner of war, he was blown ashore by the sea waves in front of his door, and this much he have written only, and then he stopped writing and placed the letter into his secret drawer. So the letter remained unfinished. On the seventh day after that, two things happened. In the morning, the servant left together, their belongings tied in large square cotton kerchiefs. So on the seventh day, means after the arrival, means seventh day after the arrival of this new meanings. So what happened on the all the servants of the house, they decided to leave the house. So all of them, they have packed their all belongings in a cotton clothes. When Hannah got up in the morning, nothing was done, the house not cleaned and the food not prepared, and she knew what it meant. So next morning when Hannah woke up, she saw that everything, every household was incomplete. So the cleaning of the house was not done, the food was not prepared. So it took her a little time to understand that what had happened. She was dismayed and even terrified, but her pride as a mistress would not allow her to show it. So now she was much surprised, and even she was terrified. She was surprised because she never thought that the servants will take such a decision so quick, and also she was terrified that these servants may inform to the authority. But still, her pride as a mistress, she would not allow her to show it. Now, she was just trying to show off. She don't want to uh, make her servants realize that she is so terrified or she is feeling helpless in their absence. Uh, Indeed, she inclined her head gradually when they appeared before her in the kitchen, uh, and she paid them off and thanked them for all they had done for her. So what happened here also? When they appeared before the Hana, then she paid them off, paid their salary to them, and again thanked all the people for what they have done for her family. So for all their service, she thanked them, all the servants, for their uh, service which they have given to the Dr. Sadao's family. Uh, Again, they were crying, but she did not cry. The cook and the gardener had served Sadao since he was a little boy in his father's house, and Yumi cried because of the children. She was so grieving that after she had gone, she ran back to Hana. So we have seen that the servants, they were very feeling very bad because they have served Dr. Sadao for generations. And also this Yumi maid servant, she was crying because she have a great affection for the doctor's baby. She made the breakfast and Sadao, yes. Now, if the baby misses me too much tonight, send me for me. I am going to my own house and you know where it is. So now, before leaving the house, Yumi told her mistress that if the child cries or if the child misses me, then please send for me. And as you know, where is my house? I will come uh, to shoot the baby. She made the thank you, Hannah said, not smiling, but did not. But she told herself she would not send for Yumi, however the baby cried. But at that time, Hannah, she just for thanked Yumi for her sweet words, for her cooperation, but uh, she talked to herself that she will never send for Yumi, uh, however loud the boy cried. It means that now she is also becoming so arrogant that she will not now she will not bend before, she will not surrender herself uh, to her servants. She made the breakfast and Sadao helped with the children. Neither of them spoke of the servants beyond the fact they were gone. But after Hannah had taken morning food, the prisoner, she came back to Sadao. So now, after the movement of the servants, the both of them, they were busy. Hannah was busy in preparing the breakfast, and Dr. Sadao took care of the children. But now they didn't talk about the servants, so they simply have their breakfast, and Hannah, she gave the breakfast to the servants, to the that prisoner, and returned back. Uh, why is it we cannot see clearly what we ought to do? She asked him. Even the servants see more clearly than we do. Why are we different from other Japanese? Now, Hana was very badly upset and disturbed, and now she asked her husband that why they are not like other Japanese. Even the servants of the house, they can forecast our ill future. They can understand what problem we are going to face, but why we are not understanding that we are in great trouble, and why we are just different from other Japanese, why we are not thinking as they are thinking. Sadao did not answer, but a little later he went into the room where the prisoner was and said brusquely. So, brusquely here means indifferently. So, now today, uh, Dr. Sadao seems to be very upset. What he did? He, uh, as he did not give any answer to the uh, to Hana's questions, but he became much upset and irritated. He went back into the room of the prisoner, and today he is behaving very badly. Today you may get up on your feet. I want you to stay up only 5 minutes at a time. Tomorrow you may try it twice, as long as it would be well that if you get back your strength as quickly as possible. So that irritation, that anger can be seen in his words. What he said, he instructed Tom, this prisoner, that today onwards he can stand on his feet for 5 minutes, and the next day he can increase the time double. But he asked him to recover his body as quickly as possible. He saw the flicker of terror on the young face that was still very, very pale. Okay, the boy murmured. Evidently, he was determined to say more. I feel I ought to thank you, doctor, for having saved my life. So, what happened? Uh, but now a flicker means some signs of fear can be easily seen on the face of the pale face of the prisoner. It means as the doctor was irritated, he was not talking very sweetly, so the prisoner had already realized that soon he is going to hand him over to the police. So uh, so the prisoner, he said okay with indifferently to the doctor, and but he was determined to thank to the doctor. So he said, Dr. Sadao, that actually I wanted to thank you for saving my life. Don't thank me too early, Sadao said coldly. He saw the flicker of terror again in the boy's eyes, terror as unmistakable as an animal's. The scars on his neck were crimson for a moment. Those scars, what were they? Sadao did not ask. So what happened? Uh, as soon as the prisoner was about to thank Dr. Sadao for saving his life, he said that don't make haste, because very soon you are going to lose your life. But again, as the doctor said so, a sudden signs of terror was easily visible on the face of the prisoner, and again there was a crimson scar under his neck, but the doctor never asked for that injury. In the afternoon, the second thing happened. So this was the first event, means the sudden movement of all the servants out of the house, and now Dr. Sadao and Hana, they had to do their house chores. And in the this is the second event. In the afternoon, the second thing happened. Hana uh, working hard on accustomed labor, saw a messenger come to the door in an official uniform. Her hands went weak and she could not draw her breath. The servants must have told already. She ran to Sadao, gasping, unable to utter a word. So, gasping. But then the messenger had simply followed her through the garden, and there he stood. She pointed at him helplessly. So the second event which took place on the same day was that as Hana was busy in her accustomed labor, means she was the mistress of the house and there were lot of servants for doing various work. But as all of them had suddenly left the house, now she herself had to complete the work. So she was much busy and tired with the work. But all of a sudden she saw a messenger in uniform, and now a sudden terror seized Hannah, and she realized that, oh, the servants might have informed to the police, and now here is a man or is messenger to arrest their family. She have just uh, realized it. She ran, and now she ran quickly towards Dr. Sadao, and as he was running, she was just gasping. Gasping means breathing hard. She was unable to speak anything, and actually she wanted to inform to Dr. Sadao that the police had already come to arrest them. But she felt it helpless to speak, and as he was to about to talk to Dr. Sadao, the messenger, he followed her and he stood in front of them. Sadao looked up from his book. He was in his office, the other partitions of which was thrown open to the garden for the southern sunshine. So where was Sadao? Sadao was in his study room, where he was busy in reading his book. And this part of the house was towards the garden where he can, as it was winter's time, so where he used to uh, take the sunshine. But now, what is it? He asked the messenger, and then he rose, seeing man's uniform. Now, as Hannah was about to talk, then said, "What is it? Hey, what is the matter? Why are you so much worried?" And but as soon as Dr. Sadao saw a man in uniform, he also stood. He also stood quickly. "You are to come to palace," the man said. "The old general is in pain again." Now, the messenger, he informed the doctor that uh, now urgently you will have to move to the palace. The general is in pain, means he urgently need your help or treatment. And so mm, the general has asked for the doctor to come and treat his pain. Oh, Hannah breathed. Is that all? All, the messenger explained. Is it not enough? So again, Hannah, she took a great sigh because now she realized that they are safe. So she uttered some words. Oh, that is the only matter. So the messenger, he was surprised that is it not the enough reason? Indeed it is, she replied. I am very sorry. She said that yes, definitely it is a good reason. It is the good reason for the doctor to visit the palace, but she also begged pardon for making such statement. Actually, she wanted to express her happiness that still they are safe. When Sadao came to say goodbye, she was in kitchen, but doing nothing. The children were asleep, and she sat merely resting for a moment, more exhausted from her fright than her work. So before leaving the house for the treatment of the general, Dr. Sadao came to meet Hannah, who was in the kitchen, but she was much exhausted, not from the work but from the fear. So very closely she has realized the fear of being caught. I thought they had come to arrest you, she said. Now Hannah told Dr. Sadao that at the beginning I realized that this policeman has come to arrest you. He gazed down into her anxious eyes. Anxious means worried. I must get rid of this man for your sake, he said. Distress. Somehow I must get rid of him. And again, Dr. Sadao Before leaving the house, he promised. He looked into her worried eyes and promised her that very soon I will manage to get rid of this menace of this prisoner, and very soon we will lead a very happy life. Sadao goes to see the general. Now, Sadao accompanied the police officer and went to see the general. Of course, the general said weakly, I understand fully, but that is because I once took a degree in Princeton, so few Japanese have. So now, after meeting the general, Dr. Sadao had informed him everything. So now he said, of course, I understand fully. It means now general said that he can easily understand the dilemma or the problem or of Dr. Sadao, and he also said that he also took training in Princeton, means the training of hospitality. I care nothing for the man, Excellency, Sadao said, but having operated on him with such success. Then Dr. Sadao said that I have no sympathy for him. I have saved his life only as a doctor. And it's very surprising that my operation was successful. Yes, yes, the general said, it's only make me feel you more indispensable to me. Evidently, you can save anyone. You are so skilled. You say you think I can stand one more such attack as I had today. So, doctor, he was much confident on the knowledge and treatment of Dr. Sadao. He said that yes, I believe you. You can save anyone because you are much skilled doctor. You are very good and trained doctor, and I have full faith in you. In you. And today you said that I can tolerate another attack as it was today. Not more than one, said Sadao. Then certainly I can allow nothing to happen to you. Then Dr. Sadao said that only one more attack and not beyond that. So Dr. Sadao said that then I will certainly not allow to happen anything to you. It means that the general promised Dr. Sadao that he will not let Dr. Sadao in trouble. He will try to save his life. Then uh, certainly I can. Yes, the general said with anxiety. So now the general was in. Now the general was a bit restless. His long pale Japanese face became expressionless, which meant that he was in deep thought. You cannot be arrested, the general said, closing his eyes. Suppose you were condemned to death and the next day I had to have my operation. Now, the general, he started to ponder, he started to think, and he closed his eyes, which means that he is thinking. What he said? He said that suppose if you are condemned to death, means suppose if the police came to know about all this incident and if you are arrested and you are sentenced to death and the next day I am in need of an operation, then who will treat me? So this was a big question. It means that for his own safety he don't want Dr. Sadao uh, to face treason. There are other surgeons, Excellencies, Sadao suggested. Then Dr. Sadao, as he was also feeling guilty for saving this prisoner, so he said, sir, there are many great doctors in Japan. None I trust, the general replied. The best one have been trained by Germans and would consider the operation successful even if I died. I do not care for their point of view. He sighed. So then the general replied that now he cannot trust any other doctors because they were trained in Germany. They behave like Germans who consider that even who consider the operation successful even after the death of the patient. So he said that he cannot trust any other doctor. So he wanted his operation or his treatment to be done by Dr. Sadao only. Uh, it seems a pity that we cannot better combine the German ruthlessness with the American sentimentality. So now, again, Dr. Sadao said that it is very uh, impossible for we Japanese that we cannot combine Germans' ruthlessness, means generals' cruelty, with the American sentimentality. Means to being emotional and to being cruel, such traits cannot be uh, adopted by a single individual. It means that who is kind, he cannot be cruel, and a man who is cruel, he cannot be kind. So both qualities cannot be inherited by a single person. Now, then you could turn your prisoner over to execution, and yet I could be sure you would not murder me while I was unconscious. The general laughed. He had and combined these two foreign elements, he asked. So now uh, the general said that the doctor he will be willing for the execution of his prisoner because he was the uh, prisoner of war, so he will not mind if the prisoner was sentenced to death, but also he had a deep trust that the moment when the doctor was unconscious on the operation table, even then Dr. Sada will not kill him. So, as a Japanese, could you not combine these two foreign elements? He asked. So, again, he just uh, requested Dr. Sadao to adopt all these, to combine these all quality in his character. That is, one part ruthlessness and other part being kind. So, the general expect that the doctor must be kind to the general and he must be cruel to the prisoner. Sadao smiled. I am not quite sure, he said, but for your sake I will be willing to try, Excellency. When again Dr. Sadao replied that he will try, at least for the sake of the general.